Hi, everybody, and welcome. In this series, we're building a web platform for kidney patients from the ground up so they can transplant faster by multilisting. And in this series, we'll be showing you via screen share the community questions we get from our FAQs, our DMs, and comments on our social media posts so we can deliver immediate value. And it as well helps us hone in on what matters the most to patients and get bumped up in the feed. After the Q&A, I'll then go into our platform and show the stats and how many people we actually helped this past week and how we're growing. Lastly, I'll do some building in public where I'll share what we're working on, what our current model is, and what's next to come. This is my main channel where we will have our business updates, but you can also find us, Jacob Bluestein and Transplant Coach, across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. Sound good? Let's dive in. Now, last week, I'm actually going to switch it up. Instead of doing the Q&A first, I'm going to go over our stats and how we did over last week because I think that's a bit more meaty, and I think it's a pretty interesting bit. So beacons is what we use to track across our content, and I'll walk you guys through both the content side of how we attract people and the paid marketing side. Now, last week, we got maybe 100 or so new followers across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We make the same video on a daily basis. We make 3 of them, and they're 30 to 60-second clips, and we post them across all 3 channels. Now, what that actually looks like in total is we've done about 313 videos since starting, and 56 posts last week, which is pretty cool. It's about 21 or so videos across those 3 channels. So we pump out all this content for 2 reasons, which predominantly, by the way, as you can see, is TikTok-centric. We post the same content across all 3, but TikTok is our clear winner. Lots of people engage. They comment in response to the video for the free wait time map or to be DM'd with details about Transplant Coach, which is pretty cool. But the 2 main reasons we put out content is, one, because obviously it helps to get the word out there. Organic leads are the best leads, people who truly resonate with your content. There's already established trust because they have a name, they have a face, they have a story. And the second is we believe that building an audience around kidney transplantation, kidney failure, and even organ donation at large is an audience that will serve far beyond Transplant Coach. Transplant Coach is best in class for solving a very specific problem. That problem is, where do I go to get my transplant with the lowest wait time, and how do I get there? How do I get on their list? We solve those 2 issues. However, the journey overall is much more complicated than that. From the diagnosis, even pre-diagnosis, the lifestyles that can lead to kidney failure, to the diagnosis, through transplant, and then through post-transplant care. So there's a lot more we can do and we can be doing. So that's why we have this audience we're working on building with content at roughly 20 to 25 videos per week. Some of them are mini deep dives onto specific topics like dialysis, multilisting. Sometimes they're just blatant CTA, like call to actions of, hey, if you've got this problem, then come check us out and we'll take care of you. And it's gone pretty well so far. Now, let's talk about the paid side for a moment, and then we'll jump back in. The paid side for us is simply Google Ads. Now, simple Google Ads search results where if you type in words like, hey, get me a kidney faster, or what is the transplant waiting list by state? Where do I go for the fastest transplant? You're going to see us pop up. And although free, organic, content-based leads are great, paid ads like Google, and there's 1,000 ways to do it. You can do meta ads on Facebook and Instagram. You can do YouTube. You can do all kinds of banner ads. Paid search terms are just classic, and they're tried and true, and we can reinvest the money from the consults we received the prior week of people who bought the service, and we can invest that and grow much faster by paying for it as compared to if we just wait for the organic content to bring in leads. So we use both. Now, what does this look like over the last week or so since the last video? We've had 10 consults booked, which has been a combination of the $900 or so we spent on ads plus content. Of those 10 consults booked, 2 people purchased the service, 2 people ghosted, they didn't show, and the other four or five were maybes, which is totally fine. And I'm going to touch more on that when I show the site and talk about what we're building in public to kind of address that. Because in any business, in a perfect world, you would only market to the exact people who can get the most out of your service, and then you would only talk to those most qualified people. Now, this is the gold standard, and we're far from it, but that's what we aspire to be. And I'll touch more on that in a moment. So the paid ads here, we started on the 16th of October. And it's been really difficult for me because I'm chomping at the bits. I'm not allowed to touch the campaigns until the 7th of November because Google has a learning curve. Like there's a learning period where you shouldn't mess with the campaigns while Google's trying to figure out, okay, what are they actually offering here? And then how do we find the right people to serve it to? But we're excited because after that period ends, I can go in and I can start creating new campaigns. I can do spin-offs. We can work really hard on improving the quality of the ads. And I think that's going to be our main vehicle to take us to where we want to be. Now, in terms of building in public, what we're working on, and then we'll do our Q&A. Since the last video, we've spent a ton of effort and time into making our homepage, which is sort of like a landing page, whether you see the content or whether you see an ad or your doctor tells you to check us out. We want this homepage to be as simple as possible, as clean, crisp, and clear. Within 2 seconds or less, what is it these guys do, and how do I action it? So, we're pretty proud to say at this point, after the last almost 3 years of me being in this business, and the 7 my co-founder was before that, running the prior version of this website, that over 1,000 families have taken our content to help understand what multilisting is all about. And we derive this number from our CRM, which has way more than 1,000 people in it, but just for simplicity. And the 100 people, and it's more now, but the 100 people who have used the service in the last 3 years to multilist for a kidney, enough time has passed where we're now hearing back from them. Because if my value proposition is I can reduce your wait time from 6 years to 1.5, that's a great value proposition. But with any business and any product, proof is the best ad. Show me the proof. Prove it. And that's what everyone wants to see, and that's totally valid. But enough time has passed that we're now hearing back from these people. And now we have the data to say, okay, well, it was forecasted that you were going to wait 6, and you got transplanted in May, so how much time did you actually wait? And then how much time did Transplant Coach save you? And for the 100 people or so, and this cutoff was as of 2024, beginning 2024, we've transplanted patients 4.7 years sooner on average. Now, we've heard back from about 30 to 40% of these 100 people. These are people coming from San Francisco, where the wait time is 7 to 10 years. These are people coming from Houston, Texas, where the wait time is 5 to 7 years. And we send them to Medical City, Fort Worth, where the wait time is only 1.5 years, and so on and so forth. We have these stories all over. It's not just one, not to pick on California. It's all over the country. And this will only get better. And to hold myself accountable to all of the internet, all 17 people who might see this video, we will be adding a video testimonial because now we're starting to get those in. We just got a video testimonial the other day from a wonderful couple who had a 5.5-year wait. And from the time they worked with us, got them multi-listed, we found 3 hospitals to send them to. From the time they were listed after their evaluation, they waited 3 months before they got the kidney. A fraction of the time. It's remarkable. Now, sometimes between submission from us and being listed, that evaluation period can be short or it can be long, depending on how flexible you are with getting out there, depending on how short-staffed or what the pipeline looks like at the hospital. But from the time of successfully multi-listing to getting that call was 3 months. And now we have a really good video testimonial. So I'm really excited to clean that up and put it on here. So that's what we've been working on. We removed a lot of the text. We wanted to make it simple. We'll always have this free tool. This is our lead magnet. This is even other healthcare organizations that you could deem competitors to us. They use our map. This is our sort of bread and butter. And this is so important, one, because it's incredibly useful information, but more importantly, it removes money as the barrier to any person in America multilisting. This is the tool. Now, when I did this work, before Transplant Coach existed, when I was going through kidney failure, it took me about 3 months to research different hospitals, figure out where I'd be willing to travel to, figure out what the wait time was at these hospitals. We've condensed that 3-month process into a 1-hour phone call, a 1-hour video call. And for that, that's how we make money. But this will always be our main flagship item here. Another big change we made was taking the meatiest FAQs that people would ask, the most commonly asked questions, and putting them right there, dead center on the front page. Now, this isn't done yet. We're still working on it, but it's going to be right there front and center. Additionally, we used to keep our credentials, like why we're credentialized to offer the service, in the top right under success stories. We had little R stories, and you could look at it if you want. But the truth is, trust and credibility is important no matter what you sell in any business. But in healthcare services, it's extremely important. It's almost like proof and credentializing are the two most important factors, because it's scary. And there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of disinformation and just garbage in a lot of the free groups, and we'll do a video on that at some point. But so we put it front and center. Both my co-founder and I, although we didn't know each other at the time, we both had the same experience, and we both multi-listed and reduced our wait from 7 years down to a year and a half. I only multi-listed at one hospital, and that was enough. My partner listed at 9. So it just goes to show that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm incredibly blessed and grateful to have been able to take in that experience and turn it into a software product. At the end, classic, like any other business, you'd have a testimonial reel of all the people who have used the service, and tons of people have nice things to say. This is also where the video will go as these video testimonials start coming in. And this is the biggest change. Something cool that my co-founder has built into the platform is she's built an insights page into each hospital. Because a lot of people, some people, they're like, hey, I don't care. I don't want to hear any of the details. Just tell me where to go. Cool. A lot of other people are more, we call them high information buyers. If you look at all the buyers on a sort of continuum of low information to high information before they feel comfortable buying, high information buyers started asking us, well, give me the details. Like, break it down by blood type. What's the actual supply? How many kidneys did this hospital actually transplant? So we're like, okay. So we pulled that data from the same database at the federal government. We get the forecasting stuff. And we made individual pages for every hospital. Now, the SRTR website has more, like a little bit more comprehensive detail, and they do quality scores, but this gets you most of the way there. Now, the last change for this building in public segment that I'm holding myself accountable to for the next call is we're going to add what's called a video sales letter. When someone clicks book a free call, they find the slot that works for them, they book, they are then redirected to a video page where I'm taking all of the commonly asked questions and every nuance that I would have wanted to know when I was going through this process, and we're condensing it into a 5 to 15 minute long video for 2 reasons. One, we want everyone to fully understand what the service is and if it's a good fit for them. Because I'm always going to advocate for multi-listing, but it may not be a good fit for everyone, especially if traveling is really difficult, as an example. And the second reason is, by the time we have our call together, either with me, with Irina, or with someone on the team, it's important that you get the most possible out of that call. And if you already know the answers to the most commonly asked questions, if you already understand our backstory, if you already understand why we're building what we're building and where we're trying to go from here, then you get a better experience. You can better utilize the questions that are left over that maybe we missed. And then it's an easier conversation about, hey, did we miss anything? And if not, is this a service for you? So I think it makes it easier for the user, and it makes it easier for us. So super excited. Stay tuned for that. Lastly, the Q&A piece. This video in the series, I noticed that we've received a lot more sort of medical questions over the past week out of these 10 consults. And obviously, I'm not a medical doctor. We don't give medical advice. But I can share what we've seen in other patients. And what I mean by that specifically is One of the common questions we get asked a lot is, what are the conditions under which I would be rejected for a kidney transplant? Totally fair, right? Now, there isn't a universal list that I'm aware of criteria that applies universally to all hospitals, because hospitals have different policies. They have different risk tolerances. Now, what I can give is a couple of examples of where we've seen users of Transplant Coach get rejected. And if you get rejected, it's not the end of the world. It just means we go back to the map and we find a different place to send you. But a couple examples that come to mind are, one, not being vaccinated, for not having a COVID vaccine. We've seen people get rejected for. We obviously don't take a political stance in our platform, but some hospitals will reject based on vaccination status. Another common use case we see is not being at a target weight. Many hospitals will require a weight threshold, right? Which makes sense because they want to make sure that the kidney is being allocated to the highest and best use possible. That's sort of the underlying thesis of the organ transplant system. It's not necessarily based on seniority alone. It's not based on health profile alone. It's predominantly, at least in intent, it's based on the highest and best use for the kidney. So we have seen patients get rejected who are maybe at 260 and they had to be at 220 before they'd be considered for a transplant. Now, that doesn't mean every hospital has the same exact weight requirement, but there's a general health requirement that you would see at every hospital. Those are some of the most common questions that we get. And the last one I'll touch on for this video is, what if I have a living donor? Which my response is, great, awesome. Living donation is fantastic. One, because it's more convenient to schedule the call. You're not getting a phone call at 3 in the morning. Two, there tends to be a lower chance of complications as compared to a deceased cadaver transplant because the organ doesn't have to sit on ice, so there's less degradation to the organ, and it's easier overall. However, does that mean you shouldn't multi-list? And the answer is no. In my opinion, you should still multi-list. And I think about it as a best case, worst case scenario. Best case, you've listed somewhere where you're going to get a kidney between 6 months to 24 months, and you have your living donor being approved, undergoing their evaluation, the cousin, the friend, the significant other, whatever. And if it works out, great. You can cancel the listing. You got your kidney, awesome, even better. If it doesn't work out, 3 months pass by and they're not a match, or they were a match initially, but then when the time comes, they decide living donation is not for them. Now you're starting back from square one. And part of our value proposition at Transplant Coach is we make sure your medical packet is comprehensive so it doesn't get rejected. It doesn't get kicked back, because many people get stuck in the hospital bureaucracy of going back and forth on paperwork, on a missing lab, on this, on that. Oh, well, I guess you need a colonoscopy report. Well, they're booked out for 4 months in advance. It's a lot of extra work, a ton. And so by having that multi-listing there and ready, you've hedged your risk. If the living donation works out, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. You're not beholden to anybody for a living donation. You're in control of your own kidney transplant. That's what we aim to do. That's why this service exists. And you don't have to accept an offer just because you multi-list. For people, this applies especially for people, we're going a bit deeper than we intend to, but this especially applies to people who are either have a higher GFR, they're just barely under 20, or they have an overall healthier profile. Because if you multi-list and you receive an offer and it's a high-risk organ, or it's one you don't feel comfortable accepting based on the match or based on the KDPI score, you can say no, and you can wait for the next one. So hopefully that's helpful. These are a bit more medically directed than our usual Q&A. But we're super excited. This is way down the line, but I dream of one day having this platform that you see here with a toggle button at the top that says kidney, liver, heart, lung, because everything on the platform, our sales funnel, our ads, our content, the software to multi-list, it can all be replicated for other organs. Now, who knows how long it'll take to get there, but that's really exciting. It's really motivating for me. And I want to take a moment to just say thank you to the 17 people who may watch this video, and to all the people who have used Transplant Coach. This is an amazing endeavor, and I couldn't have asked for, I couldn't have been more grateful for kidney failure for myself, because it led to this point. I'm excited to show you guys more video testimonials of the people we've actually helped, and I'm happy to continue to show you our campaign and our ad and our consult progress every step of the way, from today, from the 10 consults to one day 100 or 1,000. So stay tuned and talk soon.